Hi, I'm Shayna.
And I'm Tracey, and we are the creators of The Pump and Dump Show. We are moms, but we were women first. And in this podcast, we explore what it's like to be a woman who also happens to be a mom.
Before we were moms, we were women. Before we were moms, we were chilling. We were pumping and dumping. We're talking about something. This is the Pump and Dump Podcast.
Welcome back, breeders.
Hello, breeders.
We have a round table today. We are going to discuss being a working mom, a stay-at-home mom, and a work-at-home mom like Shayna and I are.
Obviously, there's all kinds of moms in this world.
But frankly, you're one of those three, really. You either
Sure.
work, you stay at home, or you work from home. So we just thought it would be fun to just have a discussion about that, because I think we all kind of side-eye each other, whatever bucket you end up in, and you wonder, like, what's it really like to work full-time? Or, do they judge me because I'm not at school enough? Or all these different things that we either project on ourselves or
Right.
on
Or
each
just
other.
how the hell does she do that?
I mean,
and make it
sure.
all work. Or, like, I don't see that for myself. How could she do, it's just so,
Mhm.
and we all have such different experiences, and yet we all have so much in common.
yeah.
So,
Which is basically that we're all just exhausted.
that's absolutely true. So we've invited some of our friends here to discuss, and we hope that you enjoy it.
We got a special guest. Special guest.
Today we have all kinds of moms here with us on the podcast. We have working mom. We have, like, I just called you working mom. That's now your assigned
I love it.
working mom,
Mhm.
stay-at-home mom, and obviously Tracey and I are work-at-home moms who travel. So that's its
Right.
own subcategory.
Work from a plane, mom.
Work
Is that
from
a thing?
plane. It's totally a thing. So Christy and Laura, welcome to the Pump and Dump podcast.
Welcome,
you.
guys.
Happy to be here. Fun.
We are so excited to talk about all the many things. And actually, this is just going to be a battle. We're just going to battle it out with working mom versus stay-at-home
Stay-at-home
mom.
I don't think there's a winner here.
We're gonna-
No.
If you arm wrestle, there will be a winner.
She'll win, I think.
Yeah?
Yep.
We should just
So
try
she
it.
looks stronger.
Mhm.
Anyway,
You
no,
look
of
stronger.
course there will be no battle. We are so excited to kind of talk about all of our lives and all of the things that make them the same and different. So we have some questions.
Yeah. So, Christy, you've been working since your babies were babies.
Yes.
How old were your kids when you went back to work?
My first baby I had a great work from home job at the time, and I went back to work 2 weeks after I had the baby, part-time, because my job was very accommodating. And then my second baby that I had was worked in a more corporate environment. And so I had the full FMLA 12-week leave and had to hand him off to daycare at 13 weeks.
Okay.
Tw-
Gotcha.
So you had 12 weeks of maternity leave?
Yes.
I feel like that's unheard of.
Not paid, unpaid maternity
Oh,
leave.
sorry.
Yes.
I never got
Yes.
any maternity leave, so I'm trying to understand. So they just say you can take 12 weeks off.
And we'll keep your job.
And you can have your job when you get back.
oh,
yes.
how nice of them.
Mhm.
Great.
But we won't pay for you
Right.
to do anything. Okay. Gotcha.
But people do have paid maternity leave, like 6 weeks, I think, is kind of standard, right?
I don't know how long it is.
I have not
Mm-mm.
heard of a company that does that. I did get a couple weeks of disability leave.
That sounds right.
Yeah, sure.
It's not company paid though. It's kind of like insurance.
Convalescence.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like 30% of your paycheck or something that you would normally get. So it's a little.
So God forbid something actually happened to you
Right.
in the same year that you
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. So that causes
Right,
a lot
it's
of women
used.
to say, I can't take the full 12 weeks because I can't be without a paycheck for 12 weeks.
Well, that's a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And Christy, tell us how old are your children?
11-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy.
Okay. Wow. All right. So Laura,
Yes.
you have been a work or stay-at-home mom
Stay at home
the whole time.
the whole time.
Okay. Tell us how old are your children?
My oldest is 21, Kate. Or I shouldn't say her name.
You can.
A girl named Kate.
Tell us her phone
They
number
will
and
find
address
her.
and her Facebook
Right.
profile.
Yes. She would be like, "Oh my gosh."
She is gorgeous.
Yeah, oh, sweet. Yeah, she's in college up at CSU, which is great. Then I have Will, and he's 18. He's a senior in high school. And then I have James, and he's a 7th grade. No, he's a 9th grader. Sorry, he's in
No
high
worries.
school. He would hate that. And then I have a 13-year-old girl, and she's Ellen, and she's a 7th grader.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. And you stayed home.
I've stayed home since before I actually had Kate. I quit my job. I was working in publishing for a small publishing company in Chicago, and I loved it, and I loved the people, and they were very nurturing and awesome. When I knew I was having that baby and I was able to, we were able to swing it financially, I quit maybe a month before she was actually born.
Okay.
And was able to, get it all ready and do my thing.
Awesome.
So,
and then that's what you've been doing this whole time.
So
and that's what
21
I've been
years.
doing. 21 years.
Okay.
So many questions.
And
Okay.
so Shay and I, as you guys know, are sort of hybrid. We work from home when we're not on a plane or on stage or in a hotel room. So yes, we do have a full-time job, but we are able to do it at home most of the time with a lot of shit ton of travel involved. Okay, so I want to know, what does a typical morning look like for the two of you? Laura, if you could think back even just to like when they were little, kind of the same age, like when you're trying to get out of the house that early morning. Christy, tell us what's a typical morning like for you?
I call it the grind. It's you get 30 minutes in the morning with your child. Usually you're yelling at them, put on your shoes. Did you find your shoes? Put on your shoes. Did you find your shoes? Getting them dressed, getting them fed quickly, and then out the door. And then you pick them up from school at the end of the day, and you have an hour to feed them, have them do homework, and then they go to bed.
When do you get a shower or dressed for work? Because like Tracey and I can drop off our kids in our pajamas and then go home and not shower until we,
Have to for days.
It could be days.
Right.
Yes.
But you going to like a corporate job, like
you gotta have
actually
makeup
have
on
to,
and stuff.
Yes. So I usually get up early and get myself ready, and then I'll get the kids up after.
So
Okay.
what time
Wow.
is early?
Probably 6.
Okay.
Okay.
I would leave for work at 7 a.m. usually.
And then drop the kids?
Yes, drop the kids off
Okay.
at pre-school camp prior to.
And then do you have time to eat breakfast yourself?
I will always bring it into work, something.
And then what does your house look like when you leave? Like, do you clean up your kitchen?
She's just getting right to it, Christy.
Well, I mean,
For real.
I couldn't even tell you what it looks like. It's maybe there's dishes, maybe it's not great.
yeah.
Unless the
She's all
cleaner
great.
is coming.
It looks great.
It's amazing.
Stuff
just
on
a-
every surface.
Well, no, I'm just like, are you just you're just speeding out the door with whatever,
Yes.
try to be on time and then.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Though I will say my husband doesn't like dishes in the sink in the morning, so he'll usually toss some things in the dishwasher.
Okay.
Okay, so he
that's
helps.
nice.
That's
How
good.
that's so kind.
He's good. He's real. I feel like part of being a working mom, what makes it helpful is having a partner that does a lot of work without being asked. Like I
Yes.
haven't cleaned a bathroom ever.
Oh.
Oh.
I know.
okay.
Did y'all get a little
That was, yeah.
little jingle
I
in your
went, "Woo."
jangle? Like,
Yeah.
Like you're a
Uh,
lucky lady.
Yeah. I haven't. Now I do a lot as well, but he has his thing. He
Sure.
likes the yard. He does the bathroom cleaning.
That's amazing.
You guys have a good partnership.
Oh,
that way.
That's
good.
awesome.
I mean, we leave for like sometimes 24 hours at a time, and when I come home, it is like ne'er a counter has been wiped.
Oh my gosh.
Is there
I
any
mean-
food in the fridge?
Well, sure, because we bought it all
'Cause you
before
did
we
it.
left.
because we've
And they didn't
prepared
eat any
it.
of it.
I've had to put the smack down this year.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, there's no more eating out just because mom's not home. Like there is food in the fridge. You're a 43-year-old man. You can figure out how to prepare food for the two of you without getting
Yeah.
pizza. Like
Yeah.
it has to stop. But
Yeah, Chris is good about he's good at cooking. He's just not good at cleaning up after himself. He does it. It's not like he leaves it.
Mhm.
He just doesn't do a very good job.
Okay.
So a bathroom would not be wiped. He just doesn't see the mess we see.
Mm-mm.
Right.
right.
But that's a whole other podcast episode.
That is.
Yes, it is.
All right. So Laura, tell us what a typical morning looks like for you, especially with 4 kids.
Well, I'm when you said think back, I'm trying to think back to what I can think back to when they were really little, and I had 2 in diapers, and a dog running around, and I'm not the most prepared person on the planet. I wake up real slow. I try to get up early enough to have some coffee and be ready for them, but the minute I'm dragging, I would drag some people out of bed. Some people would hop up. Some people would have their clothes ready. Some wouldn't. And I'd be like, you should have done this last night. It was just a lot of barking. I feel like but that was just me not being that person that's prepared. And it was go eat something, what do you guys want? There's cereal there. I mean, it was a little bit of a mess and admittedly, a lot of yelling going out the door. I hated it. I hate that I took it to that level at times, but I got to then come home and clean up the chaos once I got them all out the door and driven to school and did carpool and did the whole thing. So, and yeah, you're throwing the little babies in the back, right? And going or dropping them at their preschool. But then again, I get those couple hours to come home, sit there for a minute, read the paper. When we read the paper, it's different.
You read
now.
a paper?
I did. I used to read the paper.
What's
I
a
know,
paper?
Right? No more.
Sad.
Yeah, I don't get any more in there.
No.
And then clean up. And I didn't need every counter perfect. I would putz around. I would get, then do phone calls or talk with friends or get the things I needed done before picking someone else up. And it's just a lot of driving people in transport and scheduling. Yeah, that stuff. Yeah.
Is there a correlation, and we may get to this later, but is there a correlation between really wanting to be a mom for a lot of, this is an assumption and you can tell me if it's wrong, really wanting to be a mom, being really excited and kind of having that be one of your life dreams and deciding to be a stay-at-home mom? Or did you kind of not know how you felt about being a mom till you were pregnant and were like, wait, this is what I want to do and I want to stay home with the kids?
The latter is true.
Okay.
I was not a person that grew up thinking about having children. I never thought about, I really want to have kids and have a family and stay home with them. I didn't think like that. But then, and I had life events go on that then made me say, wow, I do want to stay home with them and I just want to be with them as much as I possibly can. And again, we were able to swing it, I mean, I know for a lot of people, it was like, well, I can't, I need to go back to work, or I love what I'm doing. Or I wasn't necessarily that person that was like, wow, I just love what I'm doing. And I'm able to, swing the two. I think temperamentally, I was better just being at home. It didn't suit me. When I tried to go out and do other things, I felt torn. I never felt I did anything well. So that was kind of my main thing. But now it was never like this life goal of, I'm going to stay home with my kids and,
Christy, what about you? Is it a choice?
Yeah.
I would say both of my parents worked when I was little and growing up. And so I had this work ethic in me. And we live a lifestyle that both parents need to work. So it's never been, I would love the luxury of staying at home, but I don't feel like I have that.
Gotcha.
But you would, like, it would be, so like I feel like no matter what, I'm just kind of one of those people that's always working on something. So that's interesting that you would choose. I mean, like my husband would choose that for absolutely sure. Like he would absolutely be a stay-at-home dad. We cannot live on our salary and without him. So that's not an option, but that would be a perfect thing for him. It would make him very happy inside.
He'd love it.
He would love it. But you feel similar.
Well, I would say there's an immense amount of guilt that goes around working as a mom. All working moms have this. This isn't unique to me. This is when you are working 50 to 60 hours a week in a corporate environment where you are expected to be on. It is, and you see your kids for an hour a day, maybe an hour and a half and half of that time is yelling to get them out the door. There's immense amounts of guilt that you're missing out on their childhood. And I feel like I could not be the mom I was meant to be. I wanted to be the mom that put dinner on the table every night. And I wanted to be the mom that held the birthday parties and was part of the PTA and baked for bake clubs. And
You wanted to be all of those things.
I wanted to be all of that. But when you're working that much, you have to project manage your time carefully and pick and choose what you can and can't do.
And you do a lot. I mean, you do the birthday parties and you do cook and put meals on the table.
Right.
And
there's
I'm
other
not
things.
happy about it.
Well, there's other things though
Right.
that I had to choose not to do.
Right.
So I am not the mom that put my kids in sports
Yeah.
because I cherish our weekends. I don't even want to give my kids up to birthday parties on the weekends because I don't see them during the week and I want to be with them all weekend long. And I chose not to put them in dance or ballet or piano because of I had to limit myself in what I could do.
Interesting.
So Laura, like, do you feel like you kind of filled everything with activities and participation or?
I did. And yes, I was able because I did have that time and I could, take the time and get them to the activities. And I was not the person that overscheduled. I definitely, again, I'm temperamentally suited to some downtime. And
You
so
also have 4 kids. That's
right.
a lot of activities.
Even if each kid has one,
Yeah.
that's 4 different things. And let's say they all have it on one day, you know, so
right.
you're just literally driving 100 miles in a 10-mile radius. And
Yeah.
there's some days before, your older ones start to drive, which that's a whole nother
Gulp.
conversation.
Right.
But yes, I was able to go do it. I was able to sit there and watch them do dance. I was able to sit at practice. I was able to help others with carpool. I have so many friends who are working moms, and I could drive people. I could help. I could have someone at my house for a while and feed them maybe before mom got home, or and I did love that. I have loved that. So yeah, I have been able to do all that stuff, and I've really loved it. And especially now that my oldest is gone, and you think back and think, yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed that she did club volleyball, and it took up a lot of time, and we traveled all over the place and did all that stuff, but I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't change anything.
I think for us it was I think my mom never worked, so I was raised with
Mine didn't either.
that. It just was always, you can't shake it if that's how if your parents worked, if they didn't. I think it's a very strong foundation for how you
I agreed.
approach your own family life. But I've also never not worked, and I'm kind of like well, Shay and I are obviously a lot alike. There's never not going to be something that I'm not working on, or some business that we're scheming or whatever. So for us, it was I always knew that I was going to work, but I always knew it had to be from home.
Okay.
That I was going to be the one that could take her to school and pick her up, or them, or however many kids we were going to have, and that but that I would also work. So this was like one of the few early foundational things just in our marriage is that we always said, like, Johnny's going to have to find the job. He's going to have to get the stable job so that I can have the unstable job, but also be home.
Nice.
So that was kind of our trade-off.
I never thought, kind of like you, I don't know if I ever had like the future of like when I had kids, what would actually be happening.
Mm-mm.
It all
Or what
just
that
kind
would
of
feel like, and what you would need, what you would want. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't even imagine it.
right.
I totally did. I
you
always,
did?
yeah. Oh,
Interesting.
but I do think it's just the way I was brought up. Like I was just very much, I always knew I wasn't going to, I always knew, first of all, I'm not chemically made up to handle a corporate job. I would be fired in a minute. No one
She
wants me
does
to work
not
for
like
them.
the man.
I am,
She hates authority.
I am very good at a lot of things. Team playing, I'm very good at if it's on my team, but not other people's teams. So that was never going to happen. But yeah, I always knew that I was going to be home, like available in a greater capacity than like working full time, like forever, like my whole life.
Yeah.
Since you were young,
Yeah.
you thought about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Gosh, I
interesting.
never thought about it.
Yeah.
I think that's weird.
Did you
I
think
never
about
thought
it, Chris?
I was built for corporate life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. It's true. You and I could not be more opposite.
I was 16 and worked at a bank, filing, opening.
Shay and I are like, no.
Yeah. And then a
My worst
hospital.
nightmare.
Those were my summer jobs. I never had to wait on tables, which I
Yeah.
felt lucky. But at the same
Yes.
time, I've been alphabetizing for. I dream
my
in bullet
God.
points. Like it is. I'm a project manager at heart. It's the
Wow.
best thing about me and the worst thing about me.
I'm still waiting tables in my dreams. I mean, I just like so many years of cocktail waitressing.
Oh my gosh. I
and-
still have nightmares that I can't get Christmas off. Like that's like some horrible, gross restaurant manager that's like cheating on his wife, and
Yeah.
I'm just asking for Christmas Eve. No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I guess I won't be coming back then. Okay, so do you guys have any insecurities about what you're doing, about your role, especially when it comes to other people's? We kind of touched on it a little bit.
Like what other people think of you.
Yeah, like what other people think. Are you concerned? I mean, is there any sort of overarching feeling that you have given your role as you compare yourself to other moms or think about yourself with other moms?
I feel like we're all doing the best we can. I'm doing what I'm doing, and it is what it is. I don't really care about what other people think about me.
that.
Good for
Right.
you.
I'll
great.
admit I have times, sure. I mean, once in a while something will come up and someone will go, what do you do? Right?
Love that.
And you're like, huh. And, usually it's a kid, he's like,
Oh.
whose mom works or something. And he'll say, well, what do you do? And I think, shit, what do I do? I mean,
Like, so much.
But we're all doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, she comes home and does it and does
Yeah.
her thing. And I'm like, sometimes that makes me feel a little bit insecure. Sure. And now the older I get, and as the kids are leaving, it's like, what's next?
Well, there's that.
Let's face it. Right. And so there's that whole piece too. But overall, I'm very content. And yeah, I try not to, we all are supporting each other. I love, all my friends doing all different things, whether they're stay at home, work at home, go, I think that's a great thing about a mom community is that I do think there's a lot of support for whatever anyone chooses. But there is that creeps in, that feeling of insecurity of like, wow, I'm kind of letting my life pass by. I'm here, sometimes feeling like a wet rag sometimes, sure, because you're not out and about. But I try to shake that off and just do my thing and do what I feel is important.
Yeah. I'd say I like this day and age too, I think there's a lot more support.
Yes.
There's not the instant knee jerk of,
Of
she's
judgment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have a friend who is also a stay-at-home mom, and she said that whenever she goes to like events or anything and has to like, make small talk with people, they'll say, oh, and what do you do? And then she says she actually really likes saying she's a stay-at-home mom because then no one has any other questions or really wants to talk to her. And she's like, they're always like, oh, how great.
Oh,
And then they kind of move on to
Mhm.
something else or someone else. And she's just kind of like, it's kind of a great closer. Like just
It's
closes the
weird.
conversation.
Yeah.
You don't dig into someone's life
No.
as a stay-at-home mom as you do with like Christy's corporate job.
Right.
And I don't know why.
Right? I mean,
You
there's so
know?
many
No.
more things to talk about
I
in,
know,
in a sense.
seriously.
Like, oh my God, what time do you get? Have you ever napped in the afternoon?
Yeah.
Like,
Heck yeah.
Do you, and if someone has a small baby, how many hours of sleep are you getting a
Right.
night?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Exactly.
and the other thing too is when people say, you think, well, I've had a life. I did all kinds of things before. And I do things now. I have interests. I have hobbies. I have
No, you
help I
don't.
do. Right. Right. But yeah, what are you going to do? You're not going to get into that. Yes, I stay at home with my kids and, I do a lot of things aside from that.
well, and like you pointed out earlier, you take all 4 of your children to all these different activities and do all these different things because you have the time to do it. And that's,
Yes.
a lot. That's so much work.
It is a ton of
lot
work.
of work.
Yeah, it's a ton of work. But, again, there you are. And it's time I just wanted to do it. And
Yeah.
it was all good.
And when your identity is being a mom
Yes.
for 21 years,
Right.
we are our own worst enemy.
We are.
Aren't we?
I mean, again, like Shayna and I have this hybrid job and I still feel like I'm not at school enough or I'm not volunteering enough. And then I go in and it has to be only me. Like I'll go to the school and I actually go, as many, field trips as I can, as much as I can. And
Yeah.
I'm there quite a bit. But then I'm always like the other moms that I see that I know are there all the time. I just feel that they're like, oh, well, she rolled in. And I have to just be projecting that on myself.
I know a lot of people
I
that
don't
feel
know.
that way. And I definitely was the mom that was there a lot. Now I was not, PTO president or anything like that. But there's finding a balance. Sometimes you overcommit and yes, you're the room mom and yes, you're doing this and yes, you're doing that. And then it's like, shoot, I'm not quite now leaving time for those things that I really wanted to do. I'm overcommitting in all my volunteer. But yes, you're available to do all those things and it does feel good.
But
you have to be
looking
careful.
at other moms that came in infrequently and been like, wow, she
No.
finally showed up.
No, I was looking
Yeah.
at the moms going, good for you for breaking away for a minute and being able to do that. Cause that's not easy.
No.
Do you feel like other people had an expectation of you to
Yes.
be like,
Oh.
well, you don't work, so
She's
got
time.
You've got time.
Yes. There was almost that pressure of, I should do all this because I've got all this time on my hands. And, but yeah,
Ugh.
there was that. But
Which
it's,
which is surprisingly not that much time.
it
right.
goes by fast.
I was recently laid off, and I have my days to myself, and I don't even
Flies.
know where
Mm-mm.
the days go.
No, you drop off,
I'm
you
like-
do 5 things, you pick up. It's like, woo,
Yeah.
and you go to the activity.
Yeah. And I think like us working from home, I think people are just like, oh, what are you doing? You want to go out to lunch? You want to go for a walk? You want to,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, no, I'm working.
Yeah.
I can't do any of those things,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is it is interesting how fast the days go, whether you're home or not. But when you are home and you think you're going to have time, because like you said, when you're at your job all day, you aren't doing the dishes or doing those things that you would just be doing if you were home. It's not like because you're at home.
And sometimes you don't even do those things.
Well,
when
yeah,
you're
I
home.
mean, we've
Right.
talked about this before,
You
how
know.
I don't ever do the dishes until 4 in the afternoon because I'm working. And if I stop and start cleaning the house, I come back to a phone that's full of emails. And I had to finally just, for my own sanity, like that was my boundary. I just had to say, this isn't getting cleaned up till I stop, I get off work for myself because I had to. Otherwise, I think I was just like worrying about the house too much and not my job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same thing where it's just I have to kind of let it be until I guess I try, like if I have to get the kids at 3:45, then I'm trying to maybe shower by 3.
Yeah.
And have like 5 minutes of pickup because I like to bring them home to just like
Well, sure.
a nice environment. But
Although
I have that
Evie's come
flexibility.
home sometimes and she'll been like, "Oh, you were busy today."
Right.
She like looks at the house.
Trust me. I've had to, what did you do today, Mom? Because, wow.
You did
Yeah.
not do the dishes.
You're like, you know what? I took a walk.
Right.
I deserve a walk.
Right. Yeah. I had a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it is interesting how you feel like the grass is always greener, right? Like,
yes.
and I think that's part of
For
why we
sure.
wanted to do this podcast
Yeah.
today. It's just so interesting. Like, I get jealous of my husband getting to just make his breakfast and leave and go to work all day and just come home, and
there it is.
And there it is.
Yeah.
And it's
Wow.
like, God, I'd love to go to, we work so hard too, Tracy and I, like on our business, that it's like, I'd love to go to an office and do that. And instead I have to do it here and pick up the kids and drop off the kids and, plan dinner and this
Right.
and that. And so I get very, I get envious. More of him though of other moms, because other moms I look at and go, how do you get dressed in the morning and get your kids to school? Like that to me is such a conundrum.
I can't say I've ever really been envious of another mom. Now
Right.
that we talk about it, like I mean, I'm always either just
I'm envious of moms with nannies, like a little
Sure.
bit, like, oh, you have
Sure.
some help.
yeah.
I mean, I've been a little envious of say moms like you guys or anyone really who's able to, have that piece for themselves, which I think what you guys do is amazing. And I watch you travel and do all these different things, and yet you come home and you raise your kids and you do your thing. I mean, I think everyone's trying to find that balance, something for themselves and, enough to give to your people. I mean, that balance I think is a remarkable thing, and I think it's hard to come by when, like for me, I have a little landscaping business. I do little things, that I help people with, so on and so forth, but nothing regular. Had I been able to find something really regular that suit me and my family, and I was able to fit in, I
You
would
would've
have
done it.
Sure,
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, what is that?
right.
Besides owning your own business. I mean,
Right.
there's no perfect.
There's not.
And that's why, school ends up being such an integral part. I mean, there's lots of things that you can do at this. Like my mom was a librarian at
Yep.
our school
Yep.
and she loved it
Yep.
because it sort of stimulated her slightly intellectually and she was with us and she loved, talking to the kids
There's
and
best
all
of
that.
both worlds.
Yeah. But that's not paid and it's just
Mm-mm.
more time that you're just donating,
Right.
with like not a lot of return except some sort of,
Right.
I guess, happiness. But
Yeah, but I will say though, when you get to the end, and I've been to the end now with two of them, you look back and go, "Oh, that was good." I'm glad I was able to do that.
Yeah.
And sure, it would have been nice to have a paycheck. I mean, who doesn't want a
Sure.
paycheck? But that's just life.
So, Christy, now that you're home for a little bit, like, what do you? I mean, we've talked about this offline. Christy's also my neighbor, by the way. So we actually have been on quite a few walks, and it's been delightful. But what are you seeing? I mean, are you like craving going back to work? Do you miss the structure? Are you happy being? Is it bittersweet? What is it?
It's bittersweet. I know I have to find a job and I know that I will and it will be soon, but I am loving I can't even tell you.
You're on sabbatical.
I am on
Mhm.
I have my little routine. I get to exercise. I'm not chained to a desk for 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
I am taking walks. I'm doing the grocery shopping every day. My husband's not having to do the grocery shopping and bringing home a bunch of vegetables I'm not going
Couldn't
to cook.
imagine.
Yeah.
I get to do it. I put dinner on the table every night. I'm like Target during the weekdays.
Heaven.
so
Heaven.
good.
Heaven.
So good.
Like it is
yeah.
I get
Costco.
things I've
Oh,
heard
yeah.
about.
or
Yeah.
things I've heard about.
that I never experienced.
I will say, being a work-at-home mom, that's one thing I always say it to my husband. If I have to go to, it sounds so rude, but like if I have to go to the grocery store or Costco on the weekends, I'm like, I'll never take for granted my position because it's so nice that it's like
to go on the weekdays.
to go on the weekdays.
Yeah,
it is.
so nice.
Yeah.
And I got to volunteer at school twice. I chaperoned 23 children on the light rail.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
One on crutches.
Oh my gosh.
Downtown to the Shakespeare Festival
Wow.
last week.
Wow.
Last week.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, hosted.
You're like, this is so great. I'm having the best time ever.
I know, and that's the last time
It's a
you'll
lot
do
of kids.
that.
Yeah, it's a lot of kids.
I mean, it's not great, but I was glad I was there.
Yeah.
No one got lost.
Mm-mm.
No, everyone made the
You
light
did it.
rail. It's
Yeah.
done. Yeah. But I
Gosh.
haven't been able to do that. So even little experiences like that, I really like.
Yeah. So let's talk about guilt then. What
Mm.
guilt I have so much guilt, like on a daily basis about everything in my life, but what guilt do you battle given your roles? I'll start. I'll say one thing that working at home, you're kind of always, and owning your own business, you're sort of always working. And so me being on my phone looks like I'm just, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen, or I cook dinner while also answering emails because my job doesn't end ever, really.
Right.
And so I feel like my daughter sees me on my computer and on my phone more than I wish that she would. And I just have to be like, I am working, but I also just picked you up from school.
Sure.
And you're not in daycare. And this is the trade-off. You know, yeah, I have to leave for 3 days, but I'm going to be home this summer. And but that guilt is like every day.
Okay.
That's what I feel. One of the big ones.
I would say I had a lot of guilt when they were babies. I felt like someone else was raising my child. They were at daycare probably 10, sometimes 11 hours a day, which was painful. And
so many
now-
moms have to do it.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
so hard.
right.
Yeah.
All working moms.
Yeah.
And then guilt now, same with you. When I was working at night, I'd go get them and we'd get home at 6, but I'd still have to work all night. So being on my phone or on my computer in front of them. And when they're wanting that attention, wanting that, hey mom, can I get out with my homework? Can I get?
Yeah. That's rough.
I think for me, the biggest guilt I felt were things like that I didn't like that I would lose my temper with them a lot or get short with them or not have time for my husband because I just felt so worn out. That was probably some of my biggest guilts of just not having my shit together, and being like, why didn't you make your, or things, yelling at people. I think I spent a fair amount of time getting frustrated, and that was just my own internal way I handled things at times. And I didn't love that, I find him better now. The chaos has died down,
Yeah.
When your kids get older, it changes.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you would say that because I felt stressed all the time from work, and I felt like I projected that on my children as well. But to hear that you have it as well at home,
Absolutely.
we all have it. It's not like unique to working versus not working.
I think all parents project all stress onto their children,
It's
no
true.
matter
It's true.
what it is.
Yeah, and I would say, put more money in your therapy jar for later because I don't, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I'm not perfect. I mean, it's
No.
just, but I also was the kind of mom that would be really honest with my kids and be like, dudes, sorry, mom's losing it right now. And I just need to go take a minute, and go in there and just be honest with them about how it was. I mean, clearly when they were 2 and 3, but when they got older and were middle school and high school, you can say like, dude, you guys make your own dinner. I literally just need to go sit down for a minute for whatever reason. So,
Well, good. And then they understand that people can actually be in tune with their emotions and don't have to swallow them and can
exactly.
communicate to make things better. I mean, certainly I feel like when we're super stressed, it not only affects my relationship with my kids, but my husband,
Totally.
and it's like,
Oh, yeah, them.
That person.
That poor
I mean-
soul next to me in bed.
hey, and we
Yeah.
just had a conversation last night about, because he's been super stressed at work. So it's like, he does his best not to bring it home to us, but then he also doesn't talk about it either, which is
Right.
not, because then I don't know what's happening.
No, they're just being quiet. And you're like, hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm stressed or hormonal or whatever the hell's going on, and dealing with the kids at the same time. And then it's where that like resentment and non-communication happens.
Mhm.
And that is just like super, super difficult.
That's a whole nother level.
And
That's a
Chris,
whole
so
nother
for
thing.
two working parents then, I mean, did you find that like if you both had crappy days at work, was it like a battle to see who could get the most empathy, or did everyone just
has it
shut
worse?
down, or like, you know,
Yeah.
how did that work?
There's a lot of handoffs. Like I would say especially when I would travel,
Mm.
I'd come home from 3 days away and David would be like, okay, I'm going out.
Yeah.
Like he needed a moment for himself, which I get. And you probably get this sometimes when you get home from your trips as well. Traveling is not easy on the kids. And so I would, and I wanted to be with them anyway. So I would just take them.
Yeah.
But for
trade-off.
sure, there is, I mean, sometimes you're both having meltdowns at the table at dinner at night and you have to pull it together for the kids. You recognize it and do what you have to do.
Mm.
I would say too, as a stay-at-home, I think the expectation is that you've just got it all. Brian comes home and everything's done. You know,
Mhm.
it's where's dinner? You know,
What else were you doing today?
Mhm.
Right.
But you know, again, I do the house. I run the
Right.
house. Now,
Fair
I
enough.
think I've taken it to another level. I do everything. I mean, unless I give it to one of my kids, I do it all.
Oh,
but,
wow.
But I like it. I do. There's times where I'll say, "Hey, can you get out there and clean up the garage?" You know, but the expectation is that dinner's on me. You know, he helps clean up stuff like that. But there's a lot of that, just like you're here, you're home, it's you. So there's definitely, when they were little, I wished I could hand more off to him. But we kind of set it up real traditionally.
But that wasn't that was like not, because for me, I feel like I have a lot of self-imposed responsibilities.
Okay.
Where like, sure, Chris is the one that has to go to the very stressful job all day, and so I've self-imposed that I also have to take care of a lot of things at home, even though I'm also working.
Yes.
So even though, and maybe tell me if this is true with Brian, like if I was just like, I didn't get to dinner today, I'm really stressed out and this is just not happening, he doesn't actually care. But I mean, maybe he cares, like
Deep
if
down.
he's had like a really hard day and
Right.
surely would have preferred that I'd taken care of what we're having for dinner.
Sure.
But I feel like that's where my guilt, I always have so much guilt that I just can't do everything all the time. And I do try, and I'm very, we've talked about this before. Like, I feel like I'm a nester, just the way that I am in my house. Like I want him to come home at the end of the night and I want music playing and things cleaned up and the kids doing their thing and some candles lit and I'm naked. standing there,
Nice.
Instagram friends.
holding a
The goal.
bottle of lube. No, none of that happens. But I want him to come home to something great. And I feel like that's so self-imposed. Like he's much more understanding than I give him credit for in that sense.
I agree. I'm the same. Or I do want things to be, especially now, again, more time. When they were little and there were toys everywhere and diapers and all, screw it. Sorry, you're coming into a mess. I cannot handle all this.
You can't.
That's just life.
You
You do the best you can. But yeah, I agree. I'm a bit of a nester myself. And I did.
I think we all are.
Okay. And I do like, sure, great for him to come home to some smoothness, some calm. Let's eat some food and sit for a minute, all of us together, which almost never happens now. But that does feel good when that happens.
Yeah.
And I felt like Brian was very understanding. If I was like, today's not been great. I've been driving everywhere. There's nothing here. I hope you picked up McDonald's. I should have let you know to pick up a Big Mac because there's just nothing happening. And he's usually, pretty good about that.
It's that self-guilt. It's that
Yeah.
I want to
me.
be able to do everything.
Sure.
Not too long ago, you and I were working on some project that was taking up every breathing moment of our lives. And I
You mean
remember
like our job.
I honestly couldn't even leave my computer, and dinner was, it was just like one of those times where you're just so busy. And I remember sitting on the couch looking up and I'm like, you guys have to figure out dinner. I can't even tell you what to figure out for dinner. You have to figure it out yourself. And they were like, okay.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like tuna fish sandwiches and tomato soup appeared.
Perfect.
And they made it for me. And I reminded myself that it isn't actually all on me, that they're fully capable of doing it themselves. And they didn't hate me for it. And I didn't ruin my daughter's life.
Right.
And I'm not a bad mom.
She actually probably really liked it.
They were great. And I
Yeah.
just needed to say it out loud, which is what we've talked about in other episodes. Like I actually just needed to say the words, I can't do
Communication.
this right now.
Yes.
You have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And if it's cereal, I don't care. Just
No.
please don't ask me to help in
Yeah.
any way.
I think we do also have to be willing to let go of some of that and be like, that's it. Go do it. And go order a pizza. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
We have eggs and toast like once a week.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
dinner,
so do we.
for sure. Maybe twice.
Really?
I
'Cause
love
you just-
breakfast for dinner.
Yeah.
My kids once had French toast in the morning. They're like, French toast for breakfast?
I
Like,
wish my
that's so
family
weird.
liked breakfast.
Because you're
for
like,
dinner.
I'm like-
because you make it so much for dinner. they're
Yeah.
like, what is this delicious bread
This
doing
is
on my plate in
crazy.
the morning?
Delicious bread.
It's like,
That's
I
how we are
love
for
breakfast for
cereal.
dinner.
Isn't cereal dessert? That's how it is in our house.
Or dinner.
Or
It's
dinner.
a late night snack. Yeah.
For sure.
Mhm.
I have the
Good.
school guilt too. I mean, I certainly like see other moms who can be there more. And I feel like when we were talking about what we think other people judge us for, again, self-projected, but I'm always like, I think that people judge. In my brain, I'm like, okay, they see that I work from home and that I am here for drop off and pick up, and then I'm not showing up for other things.
I
And
guess
is it-
I feel that way too.
Is it like, are they?
I just think there's less judgment than you think. I hope.
I'm sure.
I as a mom that was there a lot, if people showed up, I was like, hooray, hi, so good to see you. You
Right.
know, there was never that feeling. I just knew, people have lives and they're busy. Not everybody can be there all the time. It doesn't work that way.
And Christy, how did you feel, especially when you had littles in daycare? I mean, how did you reconcile that guilt that, like, you said you felt like someone else was raising
Mhm.
my babies. How did you overcome that?
Push it down. Push it down. Push it way down.
Deal with it later.
I was like, they'll never remember this. I have my first memory when I was like 3.5. And I just kept saying,
Oh,
they will not remember this.
It's
I'll make
true.
it up for them when they're older.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a good way to get yourself through it. I mean, for sure.
Well, it's true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And did you what was your relationship with like their care, their daycare teachers and stuff? I mean, I'm sure you obviously wanted them to be wonderful, but were you ever jealous? Were you ever
I wouldn't say jealous, but definitely interested. I read all the notes that they would take every day.
Aw.
And now they have like videos on them, and it's all on an app, and you can look and see how many times they peed.
What?
And
Like
when
doggy
what time
daycare?
they ate. Yes, right?
What?
Jeez, that's
I've
amazing.
heard. I've heard.
You've heard.
Yeah. I would have loved that. I would have eaten
When they were
that
littler,
up.
you
Oh
mean?
gosh,
Okay.
well, gosh,
To
that would have
make
been
sure-
amazing
To make sure they were meeting their milestones. And
that you weren't seeing.
right?
Just joking.
Oh my gosh.
No, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
so
interesting.
I feel like both my parents worked. My mom didn't ever have like a true 9 to 5 like corporate job, but she was always working. They just never were. They just were never home. I honestly don't remember ever.
You were
like,
raised by a television.
I was raised. We had 5 TVs in our house. We even had one in the bathroom, so when you took a bath, you could watch
Nice.
TV. I know, it's super weird.
And so were
Uh,
you resentful of your mom then? Because she wasn't there?
No, it's just what I knew.
right.
I'm resentful now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not at all. But I don't, we didn't go to after school. Back then, times were different, right? Like
Yeah.
we'd get off the bus and I would use my key and I would walk home and let myself in. And
Mhm.
I guess that's called a latchkey kid.
You're a
right?
latchkey
Mhm.
kid.
I was a latchkey kid.
Is that even legal now?
Right?
knows?
And then in the summers when we were off of school, so I had an older brother who's 4 years older, and he was not very nice to me at the time. And we would wake up, and my mother would be at work, but would have a list. So we'd wake up to a list
things to get
of
done.
things that had to get done, and it was like I still to this day don't make lists. Okay, it is I will maybe
Oh.
ask Siri to make a list for me when I'm trying to remember things at Target.
Target,
We've talked about
yes.
this. But I hate making lists and being that organized because my mother was so organized, to her credit.
Mm.
And we would wake up and it would be like from cleaning this to doing that. I mean, it was
And you
Oh.
did the list. You actually did it.
yeah.
Okay.
My
Why?
brother was
Because
like,
you were scared, or because you
Right.
just did, or
yeah. I mean, my parents were pretty authoritative. As fun and awesome as they are, like we definitely were raised in the fear generation.
Sure.
And I feel like a list is the only thing that made me successful as a working mom. Like if I didn't have a list,
Yeah.
things didn't get done.
Well, and I'm telling you, many things do not get done because I don't make lists. Like I
Yeah.
absolutely should make lists.
But I mean, because how do you do? I mean, when do you go to Target? Then you have to use your precious Saturdays.
Well, right. So I don't let my kids go out on the weekends because I want to be with them because I haven't seen them all week. So then that means I'm taking them to Target and Costco.
That's
and
a great time for
They
everyone.
hate going to the grocery store to this day.
Yeah.
They're like, no, Mom, don't. We can't.
Mhm.
And then you end up like, hey, hey, you can have a little treat at the
Sure.
grocery
Oh.
store, or
Oh.
I'll buy you one of those little Zum Zums at Target for $5 if you'll
Mhm.
just go with me and be good.
Oh my God. I'm the
Mm.
queen of bribery parenting. It's awful. It's awful. The amount of crap that I
Right.
give them just to get
Yep.
through a Target trip or something.
I don't think
I
it's a
mean,
bad thing.
What are you gonna
So,
do?
I mean,
Creating little monsters.
hey, come with
okay.
me. You'll
You
get a
could
little
be-
fun thing.
you
So-
could be guilt
Yeah.
parenting queen like I am.
Right.
So they're both.
What do you
Just
mean?
be quiet and
Yeah.
sit there.
Yeah.
Germanic
And maybe on
parenting.
Saturday I'll get you a lollipop.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I'll take one thing off the list.
Yeah, totally.
God, I would have done anything.
Right?
Oh. Okay, so tell us what's the best part or the biggest benefit of your role, your chosen role? What's the best that you love the most personally and or as a mom? What would you say?
I'm going to let you take this one. I'm going to have to think about it
Wow.
for a second.
I mean, the biggest benefit truly is just freedom.
Mhm.
I think really is that freedom to make my day. You know, granted, you build things in for your kids and you have their scheduling and stuff, but I'm able to set that up.
Mm.
I'm able to control what happens, whether I overschedule us or not. You know, I mean, it's a huge benefit, and it is a benefit that I can, say, no, I'm not going to do that today because I do need to be, I'm not going to volunteer for that. I'm going to be home to do X, Y, Z, and you can get your stuff done. And
Do you get to work out on your own schedule?
I mean, if I was a worker outer, yeah, sure. Yep. I don't really do that. I dog walk. Is that exercise?
Yes.
Sure.
For
Yep.
sure.
I do
Walking is
that.
great.
Walking. Try to get my heart rate up a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah, just building some of that stuff in for you and having the freedom to say on one day, hey, I'm going to go down to the bookstore, pull out every magazine I want to look at, sit there with a coffee and flip some pages and just
God,
be
how
indulgent.
delightful
That
is
sounds like
that?
heaven.
That's my little form of heaven. And that's my mom, but I'm very simple like that. I don't need, I don't need a lot of other things. So I love stuff like that. And that
Yeah.
I am able to find those moments, again, especially now, believe it or not, it's hard for me to remember back to when I had little people and couldn't really
We
do
all
those
block
things.
it out.
So like
It's-
Christy
it's
said, not
gone.
only are they not going to remember it, we're not going to remember it either.
I hate to say it. You don't. You
Yeah.
think you won't forget. You think
Yeah.
you won't forget the first word. You think you won't forget what the milestones were. You forget.
Well, and by number 4, you're like, they said something.
Oh, I
They
think
said-
I think Ellen's first word was TV. I
You
swear.
did?
TV. Like turn it
She's
on.
the youngest?
TV. Yep.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
Yep. I think that was her first word. That's my.
But
where
you
my
can't
head is.
confirm because you don't
Nope,
remember.
I don't remember.
blocked it
Mm-mm.
out.
No, and I have 1,000 hours of video of Kate, my oldest, and a minute of Ellen, my youngest. I mean,
Sure.
and again, there's guilt.
Yeah.
You just cannot do all that stuff, and you got to release it. I release it most of the time.
That.
Yeah,
Most
good
of the
for
time.
you.
So
Christy?
So I would say from being a working mom, and I'm going to make a little joke here, but because I traveled so much, I got a lot of points, so I could take my kids on nice vacations.
Oh,
nice.
That's not a joke. That's awesome.
Fantastic. I will say I have jealousy of that.
That's
Sure.
okay.
The points.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, the travel points. I know what it takes for people to earn those.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It's a part of your soul in those points.
That's
but
the hugest perk.
Do you want to hear the saddest
So
thing?
nice.
Tracy and I get points for traveling, but we just use it for more work traveling.
Right.
That's what happens when you own your own business.
Yeah.
Okay, so perks, take your family on vacation.
Take my family on vacation. And then I'm trying to instill a work ethic in them that everything in life isn't free. They need to see how hard we work because there's no free rides. You don't get anything if you don't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would like them to go to college. I'd like them to find a job afterwards and not live with me when they're 25.
That's the dream. Yep. That's the
Mhm.
dream.
Yeah.
So
Shay,
Okay.
what about you?
The benefit?
Mm-hmm.
Well, certainly it's been nice to be able to, be home with them, no matter how miserable that is sometimes. I mean, just pure
true.
honesty, especially
Sure.
when I had 2 under 2. So that was kind of before they were able to go to school or there was an escape and I was home trying to work. I mean, I even remember before Pump and Dump days, Georgia was born in New York City and I was starting a different business and just wore her while sitting at the computer. Like there's
Yeah.
no maternity leave. There's
No.
no
Yeah.
paycheck if you're not working for it. And it was just, even when Bo was born a year and a half later, I was, we had like this wedding invitation business and I was folding and cutting invitations with like the day I came home from the hospital,
Wow.
you know, because you just got to keep it going.
Mhm.
So, you know, I started talking about the negative when you told me to think about the good things. That's funny. Uh, but all of that aside, I've been there through all of that, and I get to be there to pick them up. And you know what? One of the things I actually really like is when I do force myself to stop working at 3:00 or 3:30 so that I can get them. I like to stand on a nice day at the playground and talk to other parents and watch
Yes.
my kids run around. And I do have relationships with the other moms at school because we go to our community school. And so that's been really like kind of a cool, unexpected plus of being home, you know, of getting to like be there for that kind of stuff and just kind of know the other parents and really get to know people in the community. And then I also just do enjoy when I do force a lunch every once in a while. Like, who has that freedom?
Mm.
You know, I go to yoga as much as I can lately. The past couple weeks have been a little rough.
Yeah.
When work's tough, we can't go. But, you know, making that time for myself has been immensely important to my physical health and my mental health. So
Mhm.
I have that flexibility.
You can do it. Yeah.
I mean, and not a lot of people can say that they do. And that's, I'm trying to be grateful for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'd say I love, I am proud that Evie sees me work and that and I think when you own your own business, it very quickly becomes a family business because that's just how it's just the nature of having that kind of a job. So, you know, the whole family's invested, and when I have big shows or it's just everyone knows about it. And I like that I try to walk her through the struggles. I try to explain to her as much that, you know, what we're doing when we can. We try to always bring them like to our stages. So they, like she was just saying, like the Paramount, I haven't seen that one. And I love that she's like, we've brought her to the, you know, we've brought the kids to the theaters and that she gets to see that. So hopefully she'll remember that, you know, back in the day. And I agree. I am always grateful that we can schedule in like my Pilates during the workday. Never going to not take that for granted.
It doesn't mean we totally resent it at the time, but then we're never not happy we went, right? You're always like, I can't go to yoga this morning because I
know.
so much to do. But then you're just like, no one ever went to yoga and then was like, I'm really mad I did that.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, like
But there's also just times like weeks, frankly, where you just can't
The past
do
couple weeks have
anything,
been rough,
you know?
yeah.
So there's that. But yeah. And I love to be able to be home for sure.
Bo asked me, you guys, last night for the very first time, Mom, why do you use bad words in the songs that you sing?
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then I go, well, where did you hear that? And he goes, Georgia. And I was like, I just decided to just tell him honestly. I was like, well, they're adult words and the show is for adults. And I only use them in places where I feel like it helps my jokes be funnier.
Yeah.
And I said, I have a song, for example, about eating your food. And so sometimes people say in their brains, but they wouldn't say it out loud, eat your effing food. And Chris goes, don't worry about it, Bo. And just wanted me to move on.
Move
But I
on.
was kind of like, maybe
it's
he would
conversation.
appreciate that humor. And also they're really obsessed with learning all the bad words right now. Like they don't say them, but we all have conversations about them constantly. But
They'll start
anyway,
saying
it was
them
funny.
in middle school a lot.
Sure. I'm positive.
Evie
that's
just
true.
says, Mom, I don't ever say it out loud, but a lot of times I just say the F word in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I'm like, I'm trying to imagine those circumstances with my like cute little lovely daughter is like, fuck, in her head.
I know.
like,
When is
oh.
she saying that she's driven
Yeah,
to
when are you driven to that? That's hilarious.
We were having dinner
So
the other
funny.
night, and I think I used effing. Like I tried
Yeah.
to censor myself.
Oh,
And Harrison says, Mom, that's still a bad word.
Oh, yeah.
Effing is the brother to the F word.
Wow.
The brother.
or the cousin or the
God.
stepchild.
It's
I
the
don't know.
gateway drug.
Yeah.
Good for them.
that's really
Amazing.
funny.
Wow. It's
So-
out of control in my house now.
Is,
Oh, I
is
bet.
it?
Well,
Well,
they're
you
Oh,
should
now
teach
that they're
her.
teachers.
older, it's horrible. They'll say things. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you serious? You just said that in front of me? But then, then later I'll be like, God damn it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the things just come out and they go, Mom, you told us not to talk that way. I'm like,
Yeah.
move on.
Cursing's a fascinating. I was never allowed to curse.
We weren't
ever.
ever.
So
damn
I
was
have
bad. if
Yeah,
someone
I
said damn.
remember even like sex stuff. Like I remember purposely saying the word penis at the dinner table when I was like 18 just to get a reaction out of my parents.
When you were 18.
Yeah, no, I was like old. Like when it was
Wow.
totally should be
Oh
a
my
fine,
God.
and they were just like.
Right.
So I have I don't know where I'm going to go with that because part of me just feels like she obviously has been saying it in her head since she was 3.5. So I'm not fooling anyone, but
I just think we parent very differently now.
Yeah.
But then it was just, you would never say things
Oh,
like
you
that.
definitely said it in my house.
Oh, you did?
You know my parents.
Well, I do know your parents. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your mom didn't care?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I was such a prude too. Like I was the prude
Isn't
one.
that funny?
And I was like, I remember just being like totally grossed out by anything, by any idea of sex, by like, which is hilarious, by the way.
Hilarious.
And I remember my dad one day just got sick of it, and he was like, and like yelled at me because that's how he rolls, and was just like, Shayna, stop it. Sex is a very beautiful thing. And I was just like, oh, okay.
How old were you?
16,
Okay,
you know, like I was
okay.
just kind of like, okay.
Okay.
If my dad had ever uttered those words, I would have had a heart attack.
Just,
Like,
I would have run away.
I'd been like, what
would have run
alien
away.
came in and like
Yeah.
stole my father
Yeah.
for saying that word out loud?
I don't know.
So funny.
Wow.
So how do you feel like these roles, if at all, have affected your social life? I will say I don't have much of a social life if it doesn't involve my neighborhood.
Yeah,
Okay.
the 1 block radius.
Because
around
I'm
us.
A, so tired, and B, we travel so much. Like going out is actually really difficult for me to do.
I mean, I think when you're at home a lot, you personally, I am more of a homebody, honestly, more
I am
and
too.
more.
Yeah.
But I think because I do stay home and I am able to sort of make plans and meet people and see people at school and stuff, there's a lot of, hey, let's try to meet for happy hour. Hey, let's go get a group together and go do this and that. And I push myself to go do it. Or you know, people at school have set up a book club and, hey, do you want to do book club with us? Yes. You know, I try to say yes to things to push myself out and challenge myself that way. Because otherwise you are kind of homebound.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be, even
You're
though
just
it
on an
happens.
island all day.
Right.
Yeah.
You're
And
on
you
an
need
island.
like
You do.
adult conversation.
You do, and you crave it.
Yeah.
And you crave it. So when people set things up, and I would say that happens a lot within that, you know, quote, mommy, you know, out in school, mommy and daddy, there's daddies out there too, out in the school situation. You know, when you're volunteering, you meet a lot of people and make plans.
Mhm.
So
I feel like, well, we have such a great neighborhood, and we were all pregnant at the same time. And from a social aspect, especially when the children were younger, there was no making plans with your friends. And so it
True.
was more, hey, want to come over for a drink on the patio? And if it was yes or no, it was fine. But all you had to do was walk 3
outside.
houses down
I miss those
to
days.
do it.
I miss those days of everyone just outside and the kids running around and everyone have a little drink in your hand and you're just talking on a beautiful day.
Why is that no longer?
It doesn't happen anymore.
Not with teenagers.
Mm-mm.
Or is it your friends or is it the kids?
All of us, we're just all, everyone's different now. We're all, you know, the kids are gone. They're not outside as much. We're just busy. It's just different. It's not the same. I cherish those days of just that 8, 9, 10-year-old kids and the parents standing outside and you made time to do it. Or you just were doing it.
Yeah.
And now everyone's just gone more.
That's the most depressing thing
really
I've ever
depressing.
heard.
Sorry. It's true. It's true.
I mean, I don't have that block in my hood because we live kind of in a more urban area, but
You've got a huge network of friends.
we
though.
do like the people who do live in my side of town, like
You get together.
yeah, but your kids just can't like get on their bikes and ride to the other kid's house because it's
Yeah.
you know, it's just more city. Because my kids go to the neighborhood school, we know a lot of the parents, and it's just been it took a good like 4 years
Yeah.
to meet those people.
Yeah.
To
To figure out who your people are.
yeah, and it maybe I mean, obviously it's different from when they were babies too. I mean, people move, and it changes, which is a little bit different than like your neighborhood because you guys are like
You're here.
they'll always be the neighbors.
There is, and it's funny because all of our kids go to different schools. All of our core family, every family their kids go to a different school.
But they all socialize together.
But we have this idyllic view that they're still going to be friends when they're teenagers.
They might.
Don't, they might.
Doesn't work out that way. I wish
know.
it did. And you're friends with certain friends.
Laura,
and
you're
you
killing us.
Sorry.
Laura.
Golly. I'm a wet rag right now.
I'm hoping that they will because they don't go to school together. So they'll never have any like preconceived.
Sure.
I mean, I understand people get busy and sports are already, you know, ramping up in activities and that takes a lot of time away.
Yes. But bottom line, they have little personalities and they don't always jive with
Right.
each other.
Right.
And you
No,
want
true.
them to. Like, I like that mommy so much. I wish you were friends with her. And
Yeah.
they just don't get along.
Oh, okay.
That's a-
that
It's
is
life.
a big thing.
I
That is
know.
actually a
Big
thing
thing.
now.
It's
like
life. And can be really embarrassing sometimes.
It is very awkward
can.
when your girls or your kids just don't.
Mm-mm. Or when they were friends and then fall apart. We had that with our neighbors. Our girls were best friends.
Oh.
And they had a falling out. We don't know what happened really. And I mean, now they're 21 years old. one's 21, one's 22. They're actually in the same sorority at school.
Oh,
But they were besties and then had a falling out and they never spoke again, basically.
Even now in school,
They speak fine because now they're more grown-ups and they have to figure
but
it out.
there's no love lost. Like
Nope.
they're not like they didn't rekindle their.
Nope. Mm-mm. And Lynn and I'd be like, what do we do?
Oh,
I mean,
because you liked each other.
we love each other.
Do you hang out with her still?
Mhm.
but
Still.
not with the kids.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Gosh, that's so complicated.
It's super complicated. But she and I both had that same personality. Like, well, there's nothing we can do about it. We're going to move on. It's not going to ruin our friendship.
Well,
Right.
that's
You know,
good.
screw them. They don't like each other. That's fine.
Well, and that's very big of both of you because you know that's very easy for one mom to be like, well, what'd your daughter do to my daughter, and the other,
Totally.
you know, like, well, obviously mine didn't do anything wrong. It must have been
Totally.
yours. So that's pretty awesome that you both are just like, well, they're stupid.
They're dumb, and we don't know even what happened. They didn't even tell us.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So
I always assume that it's my daughter being too
Me too.
emotional.
I assume my kid's being terrible. I just am
Yeah.
like, what did you do? You
Yeah,
know,
always.
What'd
I'm
you do
always
to
like,
them?
what did you say? What
Mhm.
did you do?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Interesting. And okay, so you talked about this a little bit, Laura. How do you feel like all of our roles affect our relationships,
You mean like marriage?
our marriage, our
Oh.
marital, I guess, or friendships, frankly.
Just our relationships in general.
Yeah, but let's start with our partners first.
Well, and you said it, but it's exhausting. When you work 50 to 60 hours a week or you're traveling and you come home, that the last thing you want to do is cuddle up on the couch with your husband and talk about having sex. Like I think I focused on the kids. It's hard. It's not easy. And you have to set up date nights and plan those out. And
But do date nights ever end up in sex? Can we just be honest?
Rarely.
I mean, sex is generally a like, okay, we both agree.
Yeah.
Because we're
This
both
needs
not.
to happen.
It needs to happen. It's like we're still awake.
right. As long
Let's
as you're
get it
awake.
done.
I think I still like you. Let's try.
But like a date night,
It's too
just
much
like,
pressure. It's like New Year's Eve. It's never going to work out the way you want it
Well,
to.
date night, you go out, you eat, you drink, you're full, you're
That's what I'm
tired.
saying.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Good night.
I
He's
know.
passed out
Sorry.
on the couch. I'm
I know. A
upstairs.
few glasses of wine and a big meal. It's the last
Yeah.
thing I want to do.
Sorry, honey.
Yeah.
Agree.
You know.
Yeah.
So
no,
that's
it's
hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. What
Yeah,
about you?
I mean, I use that term wet rag. There was times where I just felt like I'm going back to when the kids were little.
Mhm.
People needed you so much physically. I
Mm-hmm.
had really not a lot physically left to give him. You know, you just sort of have to force yourself. I hate that.
Your face right
know.
now is amazing.
Oh,
Podcast
so I have
land.
the worst.
It's
face.
like this grimace.
Oh,
that's
'cause
like
I just remember
it's like
that feeling.
decades old
Yeah,
grimace.
I just remember that feeling
know.
so vividly of being like, I wish I could pull myself together and want this.
Yes.
And I don't, but I'm going to do the best I can. And trust me, I was the person that would say no. I know a lot of, I know several people at least who don't say no to their husbands ever.
Mm.
And I was not that person. I'd be like, sorry, dude, I can't. I just
And
am
it's
not
so
into
hard
it.
for them not to take it personally. And it's like, it's
Mhm.
not about you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that I don't desire you.
I
It's
know.
not that it's
That's
Well,
that
it's
I
a
don't
little, it's a
desire
little
you.
bit that I don't desire you.
There's that. Yeah.
It's
Well, it's on a larger scale.
yeah, it's like it's not that I don't find you attractive
Just at
or
this
that I
moment in
don't appreciate what
time.
you
Right.
do for our family or like anything that like you may internalize. Like it
Yeah.
is literally that I'm stressed out. And it's different for women than men, you know?
It is. I'm just thinking about that because, you
Mhm.
know, our husbands
It's their
all
language.
work and they
Mhm.
go to a job and they have stress and but something about being a mom and working and just all of that or not work, it's just like being a mom. It just it just affects you
It
just
does.
so differently.
It's just everyone needs you. And when they're little, they
Mhm.
need you physically. When
Mhm.
later it gets super mental and emotional and hard. Things get hard. Sorry, baby
You're really
land out
bumming us
I
out.
know. And
It's
I,
true,
you know,
though.
and then I just didn't have a lot left to give him. I'm finding it more and more now that it's better,
yeah.
you know, and I'm, 51 years old and I still want to at times. So,
Well,
hooray.
that's nice.
Hooray.
Hooray.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did scheduled date nights, like, do they work for you?
In the beginning, they did. We had a time where we were like, it's not going to happen unless we schedule it. That's
Like
how
with the
Never
babies.
scheduled.
The
Just when
when they
sex
were
or the
little.
dates?
The-
The sex?
the sex,
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
So we call
you
it
literally, like,
Saturday
Saturday
sex,
night, we're doing it.
Saturday night sex night, whether we want it or not. It's happening.
Good for
Oh.
you.
And we were able to keep it up for a long time.
Wow.
But the minute one of us, and it was months, maybe a year had gone by, the minute one of us had said no one Saturday, it broke down.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good
But
for
it
you, though.
worked
That was
for a
good.
while.
Sexy
It was good.
Saturdays.
Sexy Saturday. I like
I kind
that.
of like that.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I feel like nighttime, just because you're in bed, is like the worst time to have sex because
Oh.
you've been through the day, you're exhausted,
Mhm.
and you're gonna lose sleep if you stay up any later.
Well, there is that.
And I like more about mornings or
Ugh.
Saturday morning before the kids wake up.
Oh,
or
no.
Can't do
No.
it.
Mm.
I have such an early riser. That's when, I mean, that's the preferred mode on this side of the family. But like, I can't do it in the mornings. And my
Mm-mm.
brains are, once I wake up, we're all morning people. So I'm like, bing. I'm like, what are we doing? What's going on? I'm not.
And I'm not feeling sexy in the morning. Sorry.
Mm-mm.
I'm just, I wish it was more like that. And honestly, I wish my husband would be more into just a quickie sometime.
Oh gosh,
Oh.
right?
I just take a quickie and get over it. No, I don't
That's
want
actually
that.
my favorite thing is dropping the kids at school and I come back and he's not gone yet.
Oh.
And then I'm like,
real quick.
because I know he'll be in a hurry.
See?
Because he's
And it won't go on and on.
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, just do it, and then we'll just move on.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I
the truth.
can. Now Tracy's gonna be like, I get on Zoom call with her like 5 minutes
Oh
later.
my God.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you do what you got to do.
You do what you got to do.
what you gotta do. You guys, this
This
was
very-
very enlightening.
Very enlightening.
Any
Thanks for
other?
having
Do you guys
us.
want to add any other little last thoughts?
to the moms like
Anything?
Christy, to the moms who work
Yes.
full time? What do you have to say?
I would say don't give yourself such a hard time.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard enough as it is. Don't let other moms judge you, and don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, that's good advice.
What would you say, Laura, to the stay-at-home moms?
I think just embrace it and don't wish for other things all the time. Enjoy your moment. It will be over at some point before you think it will.
Mm.
It will.
Yeah.
And just enjoy it and know that you can find things for yourself. And continue to improve and find things for yourself as you go along. But just enjoy, that time that you've taken in your life to, give to your family and just do it.
Mm.
So
I love that. What would you say, Shay?
Don't start your own business. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I guess I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, I think that life is kind of funny that way, right?
Mhm.
Like we've just kind of made it work. And again, you think the grass is always greener, but we're all moms. We're all just trying to do the best we can, like Christy said, and what we say all the time. We are a
Yeah.
band of mothers, and I have the utmost respect for everybody's choice.
Yeah.
In
I
true
do too.
honesty.
Easy.
I do too.
And I like what you said though about giving yourself things too. I mean, I think we all lose that as moms. I mean, certainly if you're working hard, you forget about books or hobbies or
I don't
finding
even know
things
there were
interesting,
still
you
magazines.
know, and
I love them.
and I think for a long time we've talked about this on the podcast too. I mean, when you own your own business or kind of do what Shay and I do, you're so deeply entrenched in it.
Mhm.
One day I just woke up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't used my brain for any other thoughts. Like I didn't even feel like I was able to think about other things besides my job or my family. And that's not good for anyone.
Mm-mm.
And that's when she started studying birds.
Good. Cool. I love it.
But look at all of you guys. I'm like
Look at
jealous because we're at my house today, guys, and my back is to my birds, and
Yeah.
I've been like dying to see who's been out there this whole
There's
time.
there's activity out there.
You all thought I was
Yeah.
joking.
Are the finches outside? I
Yep.
am. I do. But you know what? Those things. I mean, the
I know,
birds
I'm just
are.
That brings you happiness.
It does.
Mhm.
Well, it's and it's funny. It brings me happiness, but it's also a diversion. And I guess if you can say a diversion, it's a lot healthier than oxycodone.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
Sure.
you know,
If your
um,
drug is those birds, do it.
yeah.
Do it.
Well, and
My
we
drug
talk a
is
lot
the
about,
birds.
Tracy and I talk a lot about compartmentalizing. And I think that it's interesting in each of our situations. I think that that's like a key thing that I need to learn how to do better. But I always kind of think about like, can you compartmentalize like the shit day you had with your 2-year-old so that you can deal with your 10-year-old?
Or your husband.
Can you put aside the bad meeting you had earlier so that you can really study your birds later? Like
I hate you.
that was not a dig.
It was a little bit of a
It was
day.
like a compartmentalizing thing.
There's always
and
time
I'm
for
bad.
birds.
There's always time for birds. By the way, that's going to be the quote graphic this week. Is just Tracy's picture, and it's going to say, "There's always time for birds,"
There's
and that's
always
all you
time
need to
for
know.
birds.
Currently accepting any type of bird feeder, bird food.
I love it.
I just got a bird bath this weekend. It was $50 at Ace. I was real happy about it. Feel free, people.
Wow.
birds.
You should try a regular bath, not a bird bath.
Mhm.
But I'm quite tall.
But
Yes, compartmentalizing for sure.
we love you guys. You're awesome moms.
Yes,
Thank you
you
so
guys
much
are
for doing
awesome
this.
moms.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
This week's episode is brought to you by Sarah O Jewelry. Sarah O is a Denver-based fine jewelry company with a storefront location on Tennyson Street in Northwest Denver, and she just opened her brand new location in the renowned Dairy Block in downtown Denver. They have gorgeous gemstones, rough-cut diamonds, and do amazing custom pieces. If you don't follow them on Instagram, you absolutely should. Her stuff is stunning and all ethically sourced. We love Sarah O. We wear her jewelry every day. And you can also shop online at saraojewelry.com. She's also a presenting sponsor for this year's Mother's Day Eve show at the Paramount Theater.
We are on tour. We
got a tour
We're on
update.
tour.
We had a nice little trip last week.
Yeah, it was pretty adventurous. We
It
had
was.
lots to travel.
Yeah, lots. Yeah, this is the case most times, but I had said that we are spending more time in cars and planes than we are on stage, which I suppose is true anywhere, but it just was especially long
It was.
this last
We
trip
flew into the Portland airport, rented a car, drove to Salem, Oregon.
for an hour.
Realized, you guys, we realized when we got to Portland, which, by the way, we love that airport. Can we just talk about?
Oh my gosh, I love the Portland airport so much.
Yeah, there's so many good things there. It's one of our favorites.
Oh, delightful food, shopping. It's windows
Yeah.
everywhere. There was a man on
There's
the
a
piano.
distillery.
There's a distillery. It was delightful.
So Stumptown Coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So we landed and we're like, all right, got the car, got in the car, and we're like, where's the hotel? And then we were like, oh, wait, the hotel is actually here in Portland, but the show is in Salem.
Mm-hmm.
And where are we going to get ready? Because we had to drive like 2 hours to Salem.
Yeah.
So
Wasn't this for the other show? I think we had that conversation about Modesto, which was even further away.
No, that was when we realized it was happening for both shows.
Yeah.
So we were like, so we booked hotels by airports so that we could fly out easily the next day, but we didn't consider the fact that we would need a
needed to get
place to
ready.
go in those towns and that there'd be traffic. So you kind of want to get to the town. And we were like, wow, way to go. We've only been touring for 5 years.
No idea. Yeah. So then we flew into San Jose the next day and then drove 2 hours to Modesto, California, and literally landed, rented another car, drove to our hotel. We're like, okay, we have 10 minutes to go up, drop our bags, repack our show stuff, and then get back in the car and drive
drove.
2.5 hours.
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic in Northern
That's a lot of
California.
traffic.
Then we did the show in Modesto. So both shows were delightful.
So fun. So fun. And then this week we have Dallas and we have San Antonio and we have Oroville, California. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
3 places that are really nowhere near each other.
Not even close. It's the strangest. So there's even more time in cars, planes, trains, and automobiles. It's going to be a doozy.
We're going to make it work. We'll be back
Yeah.
on Sunday.
But we're excited to go back to Texas. Never been to San Antonio. Never been to Oroville. That, if you may have heard, is the show in the casino.
as you may have heard. And I believe it's near Chico.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be flying into Sacramento. So if you're anywhere in that Northern California area, come on out to the casino.
And come and hang out with us.
We're pretty excited. And after that is our big Mother's Day show here in Denver, our 7th year.
Mother's Day Eve show and dance party.
So
And then after that, Huntington, New York, Long Island area, we're really excited about.
that's right. And tickets to any of these shows are the best Mother's Day present. So ask your motherfuckers to hook you up,
Or
ladies,
just buy one for yourself. I mean, come on.
or your girlfriends, or your
Yeah.
sister, or your mom, whatever.
The easiest. And we will see you guys at a show.